It is the 20th day since the doctor strike began. The government has released a press release, saying that calling on KMPDU to suspend the strike. To what end are we going to say this? Did this consensus actually involve the union itself? That's a conversation we'll be getting into tonight here on the Bottom Line KE, trying to understand our healthcare system and services are actually in limbo as we speak at this particular moment. What will be the best fix to this particular issue that is facing the country? I'll be having a panel to get to understand this particular issue here on the program. But first, let's get a look at what's making headlines tonight. On the Bottom Line tonight, 11 people die, scores injured in a fatal road crash involving 4 vehicles in Salama along Nairobi-Mombasa highway. Also tonight, we are not relenting. Doctors say that the strike is still on as patients bear the brunt.
Kuna nyasa hizo wanakuja wanakaa tu, hakuna dawa, hakuna daktari anawahudumia.
Sina pesa ya kwenda private hospital. Ninashindwa nitamfanyia nini?
And another impending strike. Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians threaten to down their tools if their issues are not addressed in 7 days. All right, now our sign language interpreter tonight is Angel Lois. Remember, you can be part of the program by engaging us on our socials. That is at Amoy Brian on Twitter, at Lookuptv. The hashtag we're using tonight is the Bottom Line KE. Do tell us where you are watching us from and what you think about the stories you're running today, and also the conversation that we'll be having later on the health services in limbo here in the country as the doctor strike enters its 20th day, and also clinical officers have actually joined the strike, and this is their 3rd day. Engage us on our socials at Lookuptv, that is on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's get started. Now, 11 people have so far died in an accident along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. This story was prepared by a reporter Onesmus Musonya. Let's take a listen.
As Monday night fell, so did the lives of 11 people in a fatal accident in Salama along Nairobi-Mombasa highway. Confirming the incidents, Makueni Police Commander Alice Kimei said that the lorry lost control and hit 2 matatus, a small vehicle and a truck.
Last night, at about 9:30, there was an accident involving 5 vehicles. There was a lorry which was heading from Nairobi to Mombasa, and 4 vehicles were climbing from Mombasa to Nairobi. So the lorry failed to keep its lane, and when it was turning, it started hitting vehicles randomly. It started with 2 matatus and a small car and a truck.
Director General NTSA George Njau blamed the accident on the indiscipline of some drivers and the steep slope of the road. He said that they have advised Kenha to take appropriate measures along the place that has been marked as a hotspot.
And we are urging all motorists, especially for those who are taking our young loved ones home, to be extra cautious as we operate on our roads. Here we could see lane indiscipline and excessive speed that led to this accident that occurred. We're speaking to the team here, and as you can see, there are some measures that we would like our counterpart in Kenya to improve on. I'm sure you can see there's an issue of some markings and some signage to help give more information to the drivers as they approach.
Motorists have been urged to take caution and pedestrians urged to exercise caution while using the roads. The accident comes just a week after the Interior and Transport Ministries, in collaboration with NTSA, launched a crackdown on unroadworthy vehicles and careless drivers.
I'd like to caution our drivers and all road users, because it's not only drivers who are contributing to accidents. If you look at our statistics, pedestrians are leading.
Onesmus Musonya, Lookuptv.
Now, doctors across the country have said they will not relent and will continue with the strike until the 2017 collective bargaining agreement is realized. Stanley Lugaria spent the better part of the day with the doctors on the streets and now files the following story.
The doctors' strike on its 20th day has continued to affect the health sector throughout the country, as doctors lay blame on the Ministry of Health for the stalemate. The doctors now demanding actualization of the 2017 CBA before they resume duties.
This is day 20 of our strike, and we will not back down. Post the medical interns as per the CBA. Yes. Number two, we are saying that they have to implement the CBA. They must pay the basic salary arrears that is owed for 7 years.
KMPDU now wants the governors to stop meddling in their strike with immediate effect, calling on the national government to ensure that their demands are met, explaining some of the hurdles they are going through as doctors, and now want Health CS Susan Nakumecha to step up and avert further catastrophe.
Today we are shocked that governors who sat in those meetings, governors who signed those documents, are saying that they were never part of that process, but they signed needlessly though. We are embarrassed to hear Susan Nakumecha say that the CBA was signed by a different government.
KMPDU Secretary General Debzi Atela and his deputy Ms. Kela Dennis have slammed the government for ignoring their strike and acting like ostriches by burying their heads in the sand, vowing not to relent.
We have seen the county governments just running helter-skelter and doing politicking with this issue. But we want to say, we voted and the country voted for the president.
Daktari ni 5,000. Tukiangalia WHO imesema vizuri, daktari mmoja kwa madaktari 1,000. Wagonjwa 1,000, lakini sasa hivi daktari mmoja kwa wagonjwa 17,000. Je, sisi tutafanya kazi ama tutapata mental health, tutapata mental breakdown?
This comes as doctors' union throughout the country continue to boycott duties in different parts, led by Mombasa, Kisumu and Nakuru counterparts, who have vowed not to return to work until the government listens and addresses the issues in question.
Recently, statistics coming out showing that we do not have enough doctors in our facilities to take care of our patients. And today, this strike was not an emergency. This strike is a crisis that has been borne by a government.
Kwa ukweli ni kwamba yeye hana uwezo wa kuwa mwenyekiti wa mkutano kama ule, kwa sababu tumeona kwamba katika kaunti ya Kirinyaga yeye ni miongoni mwa magavana ambao wanakandamiza wahudumu wa afya.
As doctors' strike enters day 20, it is a hard stance from both ends. The doctors now still insist that the government implements the 2017 CBA, amongst them posting of the medical interns. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
By Stanley Lugaria takes us to our conversation here on the Bottom Line KE, and joining me for this particular conversation is Dr. Dennis Miskela, who is the Deputy Secretary General KMPDU. Thank you so much for making time for this here and just trying to shed light on whatever is happening as far as healthcare is concerned. But before I get to you, let me just read this statement that has been released by Chief of Staff, that is Felix Koskei, and it says this. It's in regards to the strike that is actually happening, and just going to take part of it. And it says, as part of its mandate, the whole of the National Approach Committee has isolated the 19 issues raised in the Notice of Industrial Action, and thereafter classified and prioritized each issue, further assigning responsibility to each tier of government. Now, 6 issues were classified to relate to the mandate of the national government, while 9 issues were categorized to relate to the mandate of county government, and 4 issues fell under concurrent mandate. Arising therefore, we are aware that the county governments are at various stages of addressing the issues raised in respect to their counties. Now, on the part of the national government, this is where we actually want to focus on. The measures set out hereafter have been undertaken in fulfillment of its obligation as follows. Let me check that. And it has the issue to do with facilitating the payment of basic salary arrears accrued by the national government entities arising from 2017 to 2021, secured the requisite budgetary support in the amount of 2.4 billion to facilitate the immediate deployment and posting of the 2023-2024 cohort of medical student interns in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and also provided grants and scholarships for eligible postgraduate medical officers. Now, in this regard, all eligible medical students, interns, are urged to collect their posting letters from the Ministry of Health offices with immediate effect from Thursday, 4th April. It goes ahead to say they're calling on the union to actually end the strike. Let me take you what you think about this first.
Thank you very much for having me. And my first take is that it is tragic because as a union, we believe that the head of public service would be able, through the powers that vested upon him, to be the bigger person in this stalemate and guide us through it. And when we met him the first time as a union, we trusted in his wisdom. But a few things have come out clearly today. First of all, we are happy that they acknowledge that they never implemented the 2017 CBA. And they owe us money to the tune of 3.5 billion. I'm happy that, unlike Susan Nakumicha, he has owned up that the CBA 2017, as much as it was signed by the other government, is legally binding, and they have to adhere by it. But quickly, a few disappointments then creep in, especially on the issue around internship. First of all, there is nothing called medical student interns. We only have medical officer interns, dental officer interns, and pharmacist interns, because these are students who have graduated, they have graduation certificates, so much so that if they decide to pursue other careers apart from being clinical doctors, they can go and work. So they're not students. Interns work. And in Cap 253 of the Kenya Medical Practitioners Dentist Council, KMPDC Act, clearly states that these are employees who work under supervision. Public Service Commission have a staff establishment of 2,000 of them because they're not students. Otherwise, they'll be still under the university. There's nothing like medical student interns. One. Two, the purported SRC guideline that is being spoken around is just an opinion of one person, the CEO, Len Mengich. Why do I say so? Because in 2017, when we were signing the CBA, before a CBA is registered in court as a court order, the SRC must give concurrence, what we call letter of no objection. And they give this concurrence after doing job evaluation of what interns do, the money they raise, and what is the commensurate pay. And they did that, and we have the letter of no objection from SRC. This purported guideline is what Susan Nakumicha the other day wrote on the 11th, one afternoon, to her friend, Lynn Mengich. And let me just finish this. When she wrote this letter, she said that as a ministry, we think you should pay these guys 50,000 from 6,000. And Lynn Mengich, within 48 hours, without even the commission meeting, replied back to her that I agree with you. Instead of paying them 50,000, let's pay them 47,000 without any job evaluation, without the commission meeting. So all that so-called guideline are just but personal opinion that KMPDU will not even listen to.
So the pay cut was actually factored?
The 91% pay cut. The intern doctors were earning 206,000. The SRC guideline is paying 47,000. That's a salary that they were last paid in 1998. Governments have paid that money. Even the government that the current president was sitting in last time paid that money. Right. So what has happened today, that Susan Nakumicha wants to give them a 91% pay cut. Let me explain to you what happened. Minister of Health, through their sheer incompetence, failed to defend the budget for interns during the last year's budget making process. And when they found themselves with intern to post and no budget, because you know with the treasury, if you don't defend your budget line due to competing interests, they withdraw that money. So they took that money away from Ministry of Health. Now they are stuck with interns with no money allocated. Now how do they solve the problem? They want to solve it by giving the ones who are working there a pay cut, punishing them for their own incompetence. The union will not allow that.
Okay, so you've been called upon to end the strike. What happens then? Are you going to look at this particular proposal and agree to it? Is the strike
what proposal? We had an all-of-nation meeting that on the first day when we met, we made a subcommittee that was supposed to pick up the issues, prioritize them, and then we were supposed to meet again to discuss the immediate issues. When we met on the day for the second meeting, government walked out. Everybody knows that government walked out. We never had any discussion. So as we sit here, we have never had a discussion on what the committee was supposed to present. Number two, the court order was clear that every single governor was to come for this discussion. Only one governor came the first time. Second time, only 4 governors came. So tomorrow we are going back to court. And I know this press release is not meant to solve any problem. It's meant to assuage the court and to show that government has honored their part. But they forget that 47 governors didn't turn up for that meeting. They forget that they have 3 other court orders that they've ignored. So as much as they want to play to the gallery and try to make doctors be unreasonable, it's clear in our minds that there are so many things that they have not put there that we even agreed on with them. And if they were in goodwill, they would have even gone ahead and implemented the match they have talked about.
Okay, let me talk about the issue of the intern doctors. What would have been the best approach on this particular release when it comes to solving that?
I have sung this song to government 1,000,000 times. That the CBA 2017, once SRC gave no objection, it is the lawyers of government from Ministry of Health that took the CBA to court and adopted it as a court order. It's a contract now, legally binding until a new CBA comes. So whether they don't like the amount they're paying, whether they jump, they do what, they cannot run away from that CBA until we get a chance to sit again to discuss the next CBA that is due for discussion. Then we can then agree as a team that maybe this amount of money is too little. We want to increase the salary for the interns. Because by the law of CBA and ILO, a CBA cannot be negotiated backwards. A CBA is like when you build a house. You build to the first floor, and you wait. Then next time you want to build to the second floor, you don't bring down the first floor then start afresh. No, you build into the second floor. So they cannot negotiate this backwards. They can only come and tell us that what is the give and take around the issue. But as KMPDU, having known what an intern does, interns work even against the labor laws. You work 48 hours non-stop. In the CBA, the should work only 40 hours. They work without even annual leave. No paternity leave, no maternity leave, no sick leave, nothing.
Okay. This is the thing, because from the look of things, it looks like the government is trying now to bring you on board and say, we are asking you kindly, the health services actually in limbo as we speak at this particular moment. So could you come on board? And we've looked at the issues, we've segmented them, and we are trying to see if we can solve it. Do you look at this as an attempt to solve the issues that the doctors are actually facing?
You don't address the doctors through media. You don't address us through press release. We have been available the whole afternoon. We have been sitting waiting for this meeting to be called. We are available tomorrow morning to be called for any meeting. We are available day and night. When we had a meeting in KICC, they walked out. So it is in bad faith to walk out of a meeting. Then you issue, after 1 week of silence, you issue a press conference, a press release.
So this press release was not in conjunction with the KMPDU. You have no idea. You had no idea that it was actually coming. No consultation whatsoever.
We had no idea. We don't know where it has come from. As much as we know, as KMPDU, we are waiting for the judge tomorrow to give directions on why government must not walk out of any talks. In fact, our plea to the judge is that, please, you are emboldening the employer to continue harassing the employees. By giving them that idea of a court order to call off the strike. If right now we are on strike and governors can't come for the meeting that the court has ordered, if we called off the strike today, will they ever even step into that meeting?
All right. So the strike is on?
Strike is on. 100 days, 200 days, 1,000 days, whether the government likes it or not, the CBA is a court order that they have to implement to the latter.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dennis Miskela, Deputy Secretary General KMPDU. And this is a conversation that we continue to have here on the program. We do want to take a short break because I have to release him. He has another engagement, but we're also having the same conversation, just getting into the details of that with another panel later on after the news here on the bottom line. We take a break. We'll be back in a few.
Open University of Kenya, which was chartered on the 3rd of August 2023, aims to revolutionize higher education by breaking down barriers such as cost, previous exam grades, and geographical location through online open learning at the comfort of your home, job, etc., thus ensuring accessibility to education for all members of the society. In a nutshell, Open University of Kenya leverages technology to deliver education.
Open University has brought a new door in the Kenya education system where learners are able to access education in a flexible, affordable, and all-inclusive.
Intakes ongoing for May and September. For more information, call us on 0202000211 or 0202000212 or email us at info@ouk.ac.ke. Open University of Kenya, an innovative university for inclusive prosperity. University of Nairobi is a distinguished institution of higher learning dedicated to nurturing your intellectual curiosity and pushing the boundaries of knowledge. From state-of-the-art laboratories to modern libraries equipped with the latest resources, we provide you with the tools you need to succeed. Choose from a wide range of programs designed to prepare you for challenges of tomorrow's world. Whether in STEM, humanities, business, or the arts, our strong industry connections and career service support will help you translate your education into meaningful career opportunities upon graduation. Join a vibrant community of scholars from around the world, fostering cultural exchange, collaboration, and lifelong friendships. Book your space now for September intakes. Log in to https://www.uonbi.ac.ke for a wide range of courses to choose from. You can also contact +254 020 491 0000 or email us at pr@ounbi.ac.ke. Come, let us show you place spot to build your dream home in Baraka Gardens, situated just 5.4 kilometers from Blue Post Junction along the Thika Gatura Road. Place finest with secure gated community, maji na stima iko on site, usitans na stories za title deeds ziko ready, plus flexible payment plans and financing options. Pay 30% and clear the rest in installments. Get in touch, twende site visit. For more information, contact 0794 333 222 or 0722 668 700 or visit our website www.mahasibuhousing.co.ke. Experience the beauty of Baraka Gardens today.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Still on Matters Health, patients in hospitals across the country have lamented the sorry state of affairs in hospitals as the doctor's strike entered its 20th day. As Mati Masharia now files, families have decried the high cost of treatment as they seek medical help in private facilities.
As the nationwide strike action by doctors enters its 20th day today, patients in public hospitals across the country remained stranded. At the Nakuru County Referral and Teaching Hospital, a spot check revealed a mixed situation, with some services continuing while others were paralyzed due to the absence of doctors. Medical Superintendent Dr. James Owero acknowledged the impact of the strike on hospital operations, noting that while some services like maternity, dialysis and inpatient care were being sustained, specialized treatment remained paralyzed due to the absence of specialists.
The doctor strike has really affected our services, and but we are able to cope. We are able to manage, especially maternity services. We are able to sustain dialysis. We are able to sustain some inpatient services, and also we are able to take care of the emergency surgical services. So we can't say we have lost lives because of the strike, but it has also affected our day-to-day workings, especially for patients who need elective surgeries.
Faith Omalwa, attending the normal postnatal clinic with her baby, remarked that most services are operating as usual, with nurses filling the gaps left by striking doctors. However, Javan Omolo, who brought his sister to the hospital, expressed frustration as his sister's case required specialized attention, which was unavailable due to the strike.
Nimekuja leo kuleta mtoto clinic. Leo kitu yenye nimeona ni changamoto sana ni tumekuwa watu wengi sana, madaktari si wengi vile siku zingine tunakujanga, lakini leo tumekuja tuko watu wengi, madaktari ni wachache. Hiyo ndio imekuwa changamoto ya leo. Wamehudumia wale wenye wamekuwa wachache.
Nimeleta mgonjwa hapa. My sister alikuwa in labor. Tumemleta ili apelekwe maybe afanywe that procedure. Tumefika, daktari ametuma kwa room ama kwa that labor room. Kufika labor room tumeambiwa tuende kwa donor room. Our sister alifaa kuwekewa damu. Kufika donor room, the doctors are not around. So we guys, we are really stressed up. Tunashangaa like Kenya yetu inaendelea wapi? Tunashangaa maybe if our president anaona all the things that are going in this country na tujamsikia akiongea.
Martin Masharia, Lookuptv.
Now, 20 days into the doctor strike, other unions, including the Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians, have threatened to down their tools and join their counterparts if their issues are not addressed within 7 days. Now, addressing the media in Nairobi, the three unions decried discrimination, noting that the health ministry had deliberately left them out of the ongoing talks with health workers.
As Kenyans continue to be on the receiving end with the Medex strike on its 20th day, the situation could get out of hand. This follows the declaration by three other unions led by Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians to undertake industrial action if their issues are not addressed in 7 days.
In view of this, we wish to issue a 7 days demand notice as follows. Number one, that the Ministry of Health and county governments to immediately recognize the Kenya Environmental Health and Public Health Practitioners Union, Kenya National Union of Pharmaceutical Technologists, and Kenya Union of Nutrition Dietitians as per Section 54 of the Labor Relations Act, number 14 of 2007. Take note, and we are very serious about this, take note to the ministry that if this demand will not be honored by your officers within 7 days from today, effective from the date of service of this demand notice, the three listed unions and associations will individually institute all calls for industrial actions without any further reference to you.
Led by Kunad SG Brown Ashira, the leaders slammed the ministry over failure to recognize the three unions, despite them undergoing registration in accordance to the labor regulations.
It is sad to note that upon the registration of the three listed unions, namely the Union of Pharmaceutical Technologists, Kenya Environmental Health and Public Health Practitioners Union, the Kenya Union of Nutrition Dietitians and KHPS, having met the requisite requirements for official recognition, the Ministry of Health has negated or rather has failed to recognize the above trade unions in contravention with the Labor Relations Act.
Addressing the press in Nairobi, the leaders lamented over discrimination in posting of interns under their unions. The unions maintain that they will not allow the ministry to pick on who to engage and who not to.
Kama serikali inataka kusuluhisha shinda za afya katika Kenya hii, lazima izungumze na wahusika wote wa afya, miungano yote ya afya. Lakini ukiita mtoto mmoja unaongea na mmoja na mwingine analia njaa. Endelea na kazi kama serikali haitatuhusisha katika mikutano yote na kutekeleza matakwa yetu.
With the doctors' strike in its 20th day, several other unions, including the Kenya Union of Nutritionists and Dietitians, have threatened to go on strike, slamming health CS Susan Kumisha over what they term as a discrimination, as they have not been invited in the ongoing talks. They now say if their issues will not be addressed in 7 days, they will be proceeding on strike as patients continue to bear the brunt of the ongoing doctors' strike. Ian Keitani for the Bottom Line.
That's Ian Ketani. Thank you so much, Ian Ketani, for that report. Away from that, the government has announced plans to employ digital technology, data, and artificial intelligence in order to control and management in the future. Now, speaking during the opening ceremony of the inauguration National Border Management Conference in Nairobi, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki said the government has already made significant investments in equipping security agencies with the latest technology and resources to combat complex security threats such as terrorism, human trafficking, and trafficking in narcotics. Securing the borders has become the top agenda for the Ministry of Interior, with CS Kithure Kindiki reiterating that measures have been put in place to invest heavily in technology.
The use of technology, in particular digital technology, is going to become crucial for future border control and management. Future border control and management is going to be driven by data. And that is why big data is irrefutably one of the key drivers of the fourth industrial revolution. And therefore, in this space, data is going to be crucial. If you have the data, you are able to secure your territory. If you don't have the data, it doesn't matter the hardware and the human resources that you deploy. Without data, it's going to be very difficult to secure our countries and our work.
Kindiki said Kenya's commitment to border security goes beyond safeguarding national interest and seeks to foster regional cooperation and promote economic prosperity locally and regionally, saying interagency cooperation is essential for success in border management in the face of transnational crime, terrorism, and other illicit activities that threaten the safety and security of citizens.
National cooperation, there is of course need for bilateral coordination, which is the reason why all our brothers and sisters from the neighboring countries are here, because we are all one, and what they are doing in their countries is important to us, the same way what we are doing here in Kenya is important to them. And of course, the need for multilateral and global coordination.
Present during the border management conference were delegates from Tanzania, Somalia, South Sudan, and Uganda. Brana Mwai, Lookuptv. Now, learning institutions have been urged to embrace green cooking technology for environmental conservation as the government works to achieve 80% forest cover by 2032. Now, in the 15 billion tree growing program, the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Education have agreed to work together to ensure schools lead by example in the venture.
As the government stays keen on actualizing the planting of 15 billion trees by 2032, the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Education came together at Nairobi-Mombasa grounds declaring their commitment. With an estimated 17 million learners and 600,000 educators in institutions, the Ministry of Education is set to play a vital role in ensuring that tree planting takes place in school, with Education CS Ezekiel Machogu saying the ministry will make it compulsory for every tertiary institution to have a tree nursery.
Tree nurseries at each and every level, at each and every state department of our ministry, starting with higher education, where we have 74 of our public and private universities. We have agreed and said that each and every university, may it be public or private, must have, as of necessity, a tree nursery.
Environment CS Soipantuya has stated that since the inspection of the Climate Action Initiative that seeks to raise the country's tree cover to 30%, there have been tremendous milestones, with the program seeing an increase of 5% funding allocation from the government.
It is evident that in the past few months, the noise and high levels of illegal activities that have been in our forests have significantly dropped.
The Ministry of Environment is set to provide technical support for the Ministry of Education as they collaborate on awarding the best performing institutions during tree planting projects.
My ministry is also engaging with development partners from various across the board, private sector, for the necessary support that we need for this program to really take off.
Shamila Baraza, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Shamila Baraza, for that particular report. Let's get sporty tonight. Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa has urged local top-tier clubs to adhere to the required statutes to uplift the state of football in the country. Now, Mwendwa, who attended the 3-day clubs workshop that commenced today in Nairobi, warned that clubs which fail to comply with the club's licensing requirements will be relegated.
later on. But we have answers for between you and I, the world is changing. Clubs in a small. Any other contributor? At least, maybe you do not understand. So as time goes on, we'll get
which clubs should take to run.
Concerning your license application, it must be based on what? A regulation. The chairman of the FIB or the chairperson of the AB.
So club licensing has been an initiative driven for a couple of years. By CAF, the whole aim was that club football in Africa, the level of professionalism was too low. The level of development and growth was an issue. We had a few big clubs, and the rest of the clubs really in every country was wanting. And so CAF had an initiative to try and make sure that whatever clubs are playing in every league have a proper standard and organization.
In terms of fairness, in terms of transparency, in terms of equality before everything, we must not lose sight of the fact that CAF itself does not grant or reject a license. Everything is left with member associations to implement. And that's
the regulation. The chairman of the FIB or the chairperson of the AB.
So club licensing has been an initiative driven for a couple of years. By CAF, the whole aim was that club football in Africa, the level of professionalism was too low. The level of development and growth was an issue. We had a few big clubs, and the rest of the clubs really in every country was wanting. And so CAF had an initiative to try and make sure that whatever clubs are playing in every league have a proper standard and organization.
In terms of fairness, in terms of transparency, in terms of equality before everything, we must not lose sight of the fact that CAF itself does not grant or reject a license. Everything is left with member associations to implement. And that's so you must do it in the way that CAF has set.
Dr. Mr. Emmanuel Yasobiri, tomorrow, and the three experts from CAF, we are happy to have
the federation later on. But we have answers for between you and I, the world is changing.
clubs in a small.
Any other contributor? At least, maybe you do not understand. So as time goes on, we'll get
which clubs should take to run.
Concerning your license application, it must be based on what? A regulation. The chairman of the FIB or the chairperson of the AB.
So club licensing has been an initiative driven for a couple of years. By CAF, the whole aim was that club football in Africa, the level of professionalism was too low. The level of development and growth was an issue. We had a few big clubs, and the rest of the clubs really in every country was wanting. And so CAF had an initiative to try and make sure that whatever clubs are playing in every league have a proper standard and organization.
In terms of fairness, in terms of transparency, in terms of equality before everything, we must not lose sight of the fact that CAF itself does not grant or reject a license. Everything is left with member associations to implement. And that's so you must do it in the way that CAF has set.
All right, we are done with sports tonight here on the Bottom Line KE. Time to have a conversation here, and you're looking at the healthcare services here in the country. This coming at the backdrop of the doctor strike that has entered day 20 and the clinical officer strike that is now on its third day. What does this mean for the country? The government has just released, given a press release trying to look at some of the issues that the doctors had raised and somehow giving solutions to that. Joining me for this conversation, I have Winnie here from Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, who is the gender representative, Nairobi branch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brian.
Let me get your second name. Don't want to miss that. And also joining me tonight for this particular conversation, I do have Dr. Kahura Mundia, who is the Deputy Chairperson, KMPDU. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation, and it's not the first time that you're here. And Winnie here is Winnie Wagura Kamau, right? I got that right, isn't it?
Yes, you got that right.
Yeah, I need to get people's names right. I don't want to miss. All right, this is the current state of affairs in the country. We have doctors that are on strike. It is the 20th day ever since the strike began. We have clinical officers that are on strike, and this is the 3rd day since the strike began. Totally rendering services at the hospitals, you know, it's in limbo. People are going to hospitals, they cannot get the services that they need. Let me start from where you sit first on this particular issue. What is your take on the current state of healthcare services in the country before we get to the reason as to why you are striking?
Yes, I think the main issue has always been in terms of access to healthcare for Kenyans. We've always made sure that we offer our best services to Kenyans. But even as we offer the best services, as clinical officers, we do not get the remuneration, the benefits that come with that. We have clinical officers who have specialized, taken time to go back to school, specialized in different fields. Yet when they come back to their places of work, they have not been promoted, they've not been redesignated. That means that we have clinical officers who are earning the same amount of money for years, for even more than 10 years in some counties.
Okay, let me ask you this, because the doctors are on strike. Why was it important for the clinical officers to go on strike at this particular moment?
We have been negotiating our CBA since 2017. The government has not been responsive towards that. We also have interns who have been posted just the other day after we have served our notice, so they're picking up their letters, but with a reduction in their pay. So they're getting a pay cut from what the others have been paid. So I think it's a knee-jerk reflex, because if we've been talking with them for all these years, since 2017, and they've not been able to come to the table and sign our collective bargaining agreement, then that is not in the goodwill that we hoped. We also have issues that come with our schemes of service that we have sat down, we have come up with career progression, but the same has not been replicated. We don't have one that is ratified.
Okay. So some of the issues you're raising, just in line to what the doctors are actually raising, and this is day 20, Dr. Mundia, day 20 of the strike already, and you've tried to have conversations with the government, but every time you go for this conversation, there's a conversation that went late night. We are hoping that we'll see light at the end of the tunnel. We didn't get to see that. Let me get it from you. 20th day, to what end are we going to see this? Because there's a release that has been, a press release that has been given, but I was speaking to the Deputy SG of KMPDU, and they say, okay, this was not in consultation with what we actually wanted, and we feel like we're being taken for a ride. So to what end?
Well, thank you very much. Today is a sad day, I would say so, as KMPDU and as all health workers in the country. It's a very sad day that the head of public service can serve doctors on social media on things that they themselves have met. Because the last time, as we know, they walked out of a meeting, fully convened. But before even went 10 minutes into the meeting, they left. And today they make a proposal, or probably a position that we have agreed, and they are choosing which parts of the CBA they are going to abide by. Now in Kenya, persons need to go to school. We have government officials who don't know anything about labor. People need to attend school of labor to understand what matters of labor and how important they are. Reason being, to have a collective bargaining agreement, it's like the most supreme contract you'll ever want to have with an employer. The previous governments did that negotiation in good faith. And now, remember, we're paying Eurobonds. Eurobonds taken in by the previous governments. Now, these CBAs have been inherited by these current governments. The government says they will pay the arrears of the CBA, but they will not abide by the terms of the clauses to continuously promote and engage intern doctors. We call them intern doctors. Now, it's a stab on the face because in the TV in the last 3 weeks, we had the head of public service openly talking that they understood now what the term medical interns meant. But today, just to spite us because it's the persons we're dealing with are full of contempt, they've now addressed these persons as doctors. A medical doctor who's just finishes school with 2 degrees, a degree in surgery and a degree in medicine, after 7 years. And what they're supposed to do now is to go and practice whatever they've learned under supervision. That experiential practice is what is called as internship. And we bound that in the CBA. Now for the head of public service, with the CS Health, with all the persons advising the ministry and all the officials, they're doing a bad job to Kenyans. The government has a right to defend all rights, be it right to strike, right to labor, and right to life, and to health. All these things have to be balanced.
Let me get from the point, in terms of this particular press release, and I do believe you've taken a look at it, what is it that you feel like it's very insulting to the medical doctors who are actually on strike?
Well, let me also probably just tell you, today is World Health Workers Week. We are supposed to be celebrating workers as per the WHO between yesterday and date 7 of this month. But what the government is doing to spite us more. The government is on strike. It is the 21st day tomorrow, 3 weeks after the strike started. And now whatever has happened with the pressure that has been served on the social media, no doctor is going to abide by those terms. The CBA is clear. All terms as they're supposed to be implemented, they're supposed to be implemented. Post doctors, we have a shortage that everyone appreciates, even the governments, but they don't want to employ doctors. UHC cannot sail without doctors. We only have 4,000 doctors in service. The 4,000 who are out there, they need to come in and serve Kenyans. And to slash their pay so that you can have the public private hospitals getting cheaper doctors, that's improper. Qualified, competent doctors, after 7 years of work, of schooling, they're supposed to be paid adequate amounts as they're supposed to. The CAS are getting 780,000 to just politic around. As many as they are, they have a driver, they have assistants, and they have all these packs on the payroll. The doctor is just asking for 206,000. That's gross. You take net, you get 140,000. That's what they're supposed to take home. That's very little money in today's economy, because that money is old as 7 years ago when it was first agreed upon. It's an absurdity that you're facing today.
Let me throw something to the both of you, because there's that aspect of where the government is saying, okay, some of the things that you're asking are very extreme at this particular moment, and we need time to actually get to implement that. When they ask for time and you do not give them time, are you showing goodwill when it comes to dealing with the issue? Let me start with it, Winnie.
I think time is not an issue that they should be saying. As I said, our CBA has been in negotiation since 2017. So that's, I think, 14 years. So that is already enough time. In terms of our health risk allowance, it was updated in 2021 after COVID, after it was realized that we have a very, our exposure to risk is high. So since 2021, what have you done? Because a committee sat and saw it fit to add to our health risk allowance. That has not been implemented. In terms of interns, every year the government knows that medical students will leave the schools and go for internship where they specialize, as my colleague has said. So this is something that they know. We have another crop coming up this year. So in terms of posting of interns and payment, that is something they should allocate in the budget. So it's already a known expense.
As far as that is concerned, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers did actually ask for 20,000 interns to actually be posted. Let me get to the specificity of this one. Why is this one? Does that mean we have a shortage, and when we get this particular number, it's actually going to fill that, or what?
No, for interns cannot fill the space of qualified personnel, because the 1 year that you're going for internship, you're supposed to be under supervision. So you have to work with qualified personnel. So for interns, the posting is mandatory because they have to be, the 1 year is important for them so that we do not get quacks working out there. That is a risk to even the population.
So do we have, is this currently happening, or it's not happening when it comes to posting of interns, especially for clinical officers?
So for clinical officers, we have interns that have already started collecting their letters. But we have said that they have reduced pay they have gotten a pay cut,
Okay.
which is not part of what was agreed when the initial agreement was brought about payment of interns. And that is one of the issues in our strike notice.
Okay. Let me get to you, Dr. Mundia, and that has just to do with the issue of, time, because the government, you say you've have the meeting, but they're still asking for some of the things that you're saying. 19 issues are not things that you're going to solve in a day, and we need time to actually get to implement this one. So as you look around doing that, could you kindly call off the strike and go back to work so that,
Well, it's strange you ask me about time. We are 60 years old as a country.
Yeah.
By the time we got the first year of independence on 1964, some of these basics should have been done. But because we're a government of experiments, we keep on experimenting with people's lives and people's health. That's why we put incompetent persons in office. Persons who don't even understand the path of training. Now, these persons cannot lead us anywhere. So everything is done by trial and error. They've had since 2010, when the new constitution came into force. We did a CBA in 2013. They disputed it because the person who signed it was somehow, they denied him that he was in office legally. That was, I think, one of the PSs. 2017, we entered in that agreement. Now, between 2017 and today, that's 7 years. Now, how much time do you need to read a 40-page document?
Okay.
It's very easy, very straightforward English, plain language, but these persons just misconstrue because they're so full of malice, because they think health workers are so spoiled. They're brats who want to have the best of terms. Now, these persons, their terms of work are like that. There is no way you can serve as a doctor working 24 hours a day, and you're not even allowed leaves and breaks. And when you say, let me get a place to go and rest, you start feeling like I'm too spoiled and I want to rest when I'm working.
Okay.
It's improper.
All
The
right.
time is enough. They've had all the time, but we're still here.
Let me throw this to you. The county governments, because I've seen different different governors actually saying, okay, your issues are with the national government. We have employed you. We do abide by what was agreed on. Could you kindly come back to work? So don't get to punish the counties at the county. Yet the issues that you're having are with the national government. I saw Abdul Samad actually talk of that. Governor Sakaja here in Nairobi did threaten to fire everybody that did not report to work. What's your take on that particular? Where do we draw the line?
This is my point. Counties are beggars. Counties are agents of the government. There is devolution, yes. And there is a semblance of what they call we are independent, we can do whatever because we are ourselves. Counties don't generate enough revenue. They rely on the national government to expend monies to them. Right now, we have county governments that have not paid salaries for the last 2 to 3 months. They're still waiting for the handouts from the national government. So it's improper for them to start saying, oh, let's come and negotiate. What are you negotiating with a broke person? Persons who are reliant on the principle to send the money. So the issues are national. We're supposed to have standards that are national because a doctor at Kirinyaga, a doctor at Lamu, a doctor at Turkana has the same qualifications. They perform the same number of hours at work. So there is no way to differentiate all these people just because the signatory to that document is someone in a different county.
Okay.
The terms are standardized because you want that kind of harmony. And the SRC understands that language. So whatever the governors are taking, we also want to take it so that we understand it better.
Okay. Clinical officers, you issued a 7-day strike notice when the doctors were on strike. Was there any attempt from the national government to have you on a table so that we have a conversation around this to stop this from happening?
Yeah, we've had discussions. That was yesterday and today. Good discussions, but nothing was yielded from that discussion in terms of all our prerequisites for us to go back to work.
What are they suggesting when you are having these conversations?
At times, just as you said, that let's go back to work as we try and come up with mechanisms. But we say that as I said, our CBA is very old in terms of when we started this process. So we have bare minimums which are listed very clearly in our strike notice. I think there are 8 of them. So those are our bare minimums that we cannot allow ourselves to go back to work. We have clinicians who worked in Kirinyaga County and were dismissed when they went when we were on strike. The court returned them, but yet the governor was not able to honor that court order, and yet the same governor is the one telling our colleagues to go back to work.
Okay, so let me come to, because there's the issue of health workers being threatened with being sacked. Counties have actually done that. So at what expense are we doing this particular strike? Because you're fighting for better pay, we're fighting for issues that we want to address, but at the same time, people could actually get to lose their jobs. What happens in that particular instance? Let me start with you.
Well, see, the situation is you cannot have a functional healthcare system without healthcare workers.
Okay.
It's unheard of. And because the worker is telling you, do this and this for me, and you fail to listen, that means you'll be left with your facility and the worker will move with their skills. Now, in good faith negotiations, persons are supposed to stop intimidations and threats and come to the table and openly engage freely to resolve the dispute. And after that, you do a return to work formula. Or after that, you do a CBA and agree that today, henceforth, this is how we're going to operate. So a CBA is like a guiding document to minimize disputes and grievances at the workplace. But the governors or the employers are not keen on that aspect. What they're thinking of is a pay. But the issue is just more than pay. The terms of work must be fair. You cannot serve without going for your annual leave. Some of these counties, like we visited one of them over the weekends, there are only 2 doctors in a facility. Now these doctors never go for leaves. They're the ones serving all the 24 hours back to back. If you have to go on leave, you leave a single person at work. And the governors, well, the particular governor in this case, they're so confident that there's a functional healthcare system in the area. So, and then they continue to further intimidate these doctors that any day that they seem to speak with the union, they're going to be terminated. That's another violation of Article 41, of the right to engage with a union of your choice, without the fact that whether you're on contract or casualized or whatever terms you're engaging. Touts, drivers, everyone, even the police are supposed to have their national union. It's only that in Kenya, we are not yet there, but they're still pursuing their union to create a union that protects the police. Because unions come to advance and protect the rights of workers. Now, the government is supposed to protect collective bargaining. That's the standard of International Labour Organization.
Okay.
Kenya has ratified the conventions at ILO. Today, we are defying our own constitution and defying international standards because we are feeling the current government has its own opinions. Opinions that are not schooled as per the standards that have existed since 1919. Over 100 years, the world of labor has been in existence. And the government officer who's just come into office 2 years ago, they claim now they know better. No. They have to go and revisit the books, revisit the history of what the world of labor is all about regarding collective bargaining agreements.
Okay. Now, what do we say to some of the workers that listen to the leader speak and give in terms of being intimidated? Because somebody would say, okay, the union is there to defend me, but when it comes to being fired, this, especially when you mentioned the county of Kirinyaga, we're going to come to that as to why this specific county. So is this collective? Are we seeing the paralysis of health services in every sector, or is it some of the people that believe the union is actually defending us? Are you experiencing instances where some doctors and some clinical officers are not engaging in this particular strike?
For our clinical officers, we are all on the same page. That the issues that are addressed cut across every single clinician, whether they work in private or public. Because at the end of the day, even the private hospitals will get the salary expectation from what the government pays. So as my colleague said, that we have structures in place to protect us. We are protected by the Constitution. It is our right to picket. It is your right to go on strike against an employer who does not offer favorable conditions. Because we cannot be working and yet our health is at risk. We have clinical officers who have contracted diseases because of the conditions at which they work.
So nobody actually gets to look at us as people that are in the front line when it comes to dealing with the health issues. That's what you're saying?
Yes, because how can our risk allowance be 3,000 shillings? And yet, you are the first person. You go to work on one day, you're seeing a child in the morning, you didn't have a cough. In the evening, you have pneumonia. So that means that I was exposed because those are the patients that I am seeing. Or you work in an ICU setup and the employer has not taken the liberty to give you the proper preventive equipment so that you can protect yourself.
Okay. I'm running out of time and I want you to give your final remarks on this particular conversation as far as healthcare is concerned and the message from the government. Let me start with you as we wind up. What is your parting shot on this particular conversation?
I would say our doctors, we are glad that you follow the union because you believe in the union spirit. That decent and dignified work belongs to all Kenyans, not a few, not politicians. It's not that we have to suck up politicians. Treat them like gods, while the persons who did hard work, they are not dignified in whatever they do. And we are so full of contempt of these persons. That must stop, and it stops today. Whatever statement has been served on social media, it is nonsense. Nonsense on stilts. It's just a repeat of whatever we've been doing in the last 20 days. Now, beginning tomorrow, we meet in good faith and forget all those other games that we've been playing. And persons must show up on the table and negotiate to conclude the matters. Because we want to go and serve our Kenyans. We miss our patients. But because some persons feel like we don't need to see our patients, they don't act as defenders of people's health. Kenyans voted the government to provide that health care. But now they're standing between us and the patients by trying to just annoy the workers. And that means no work will continue. Everyone has to enjoy decent and dignified work. All Kenyans. And that's the role of the government, to ensure that even the mama mboga, even the housemaids, they're having decent work. And that's why you ever see who are these persons, the guards, and they got their pay upgraded. Because for a long time, these people are being exploited. The government is supposed to be a protector and defender of these people's rights. Now today, the government is undermining every worker's rights. That's improper, that's illegal, that's unconstitutional. We are objecting to that.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're open for a conversation. Whatever has been released today, that should be actually set aside.
They just forget whatever games they're playing. God will forgive them for the 3 weeks of nonsense they've been engaging us on. We start anew on good faith with the CBA done and more progressive gains.
Your final remarks on this one as we wind up on this conversation.
So tomorrow as clinical officers, we have a procession at 8 a.m. from Green Park. We shall serve the MOH with our demands. We shall serve the COG. We shall serve the Senate. And we shall also serve the Salaries Remuneration Commission so that they are aware of our issues. So all clinical officers, we also want to thank them that they have supported us and that as we start our strike, because tomorrow will be the mega launch for the strike.
Oh, tomorrow is the mega launch.
Tomorrow is the mega launch.
What will it take for it to end? And I know you have quite a number of issues, but what is that one word that you'll be told and you're like, okay, let's call it off?
The bare minimums, as I said, are the 8 conditions in our strike notice. So the 8 have to be met for us to even think of going back to work.
If we say we are meeting 4 and maybe we look at the other ones.
I think with the government, they don't have so much of goodwill because at times they say the 4 and then we take another. It will be another 7 years until we're back there.
Okay, so you have to get everything that
we have to get everything that we want. Yes.
So that because we understand how it works, it might take another 14 years.
Exactly.
I don't want to be having that conversation in 10 years from now.
Yes.
God forbid. Thank you so much, Dr. Yuni Kamau, for your time here on the program, and Dr. Kahura Mundia, who is the deputy chair of the KMPDU. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We really do appreciate it. And I hope that next time we are having a conversation will be how to better the healthcare system in the country and not a strike, right?
That should be the focus of the government.
All right.
Not how to make it worse.
Yes.
Now they're making it worse with their pronouncements.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Brian Amwai. That does it for us. We are really out of time. And my director is in my ear telling me, by the way, you're totally overrun. All right. Thank you so much for engaging us on our socials. That is at Lookuptv on Facebook and also on YouTube. We do welcome your feedback. I would love to sample it, but I don't have the luxury to do that tonight. Good night. Let's do this again next week on Tuesday.